Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, on a technical note, I want to thank each of you for the feedback that you give me on the new mic setup that I have. I'm still learning, I'll be honest, and in all vulnerability, I am not an audio expert. So keep the feedback coming. I'm trying some different things to make sure it comes out crisp and clear, and hopefully it is for this content, because this content is the stuff we talk about. This is why we fight, guys. Now, on this channel, we are on the cutting edge of the Second Amendment advocacy. And one of the big things that we talk about frequently is how gun control will fail. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And California is an excellent example. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. The leftists and the gun controllers in California are flat out decrying the fact that their gun control policies, which have been implemented for 20 years in an armed and prohibited list, are not working the way they were sold to them and prescribed. We're going to dive into that deeply, and then to the end, we're going to compare and contrast to what conservatives or Second Amendment advocates are doing. And you tell me which one is better. So, everything is linked in the description box below, as always, and I want to hear what you guys think, not only on the audio, but also on this content, because to me, this is crucial. So the article that we're covering tonight is from California. Okay, this is actually from Cal Matters. So this is one of their main outlets in the California area. It's titled "Outgunned: Why California's Groundbreaking Firearms Law is Failing." And I'm going to go through a few things to explain what this law is, but it's failing, and there's really good examples in here. Okay, so 2 decades ago, California legislators added a new weapon to the state's growing arsenal of gun control measures. Growing, all right, like Miracle-Gro. Already among the toughest in the nation, their motivation came from 2,000 miles away in a shaken Chicago suburb. In the wake of the rampage, so there was an incident there, in the wake of the rampage and with lofty expectations, California became the first state in the country to create a database identifying thousands of people who legally purchased guns but were now deemed too dangerous to be armed. Now, that was the precursor to the gun violence restraining orders, or the GVROs. All the gun control they passed, this was the first thing that they did. They built a database, okay? Just like they're always saying they wouldn't build a database, yeah, they built a database in California. And what's that old saying? So goes California, so goes the country? Just saying. But what seemed at the time like a straightforward approach to the enforcement of existing gun laws has instead become mired in chronic shortcomings, failing for years to make good on its potential. Successive administrations have vowed to fix the problems, but all have fallen short. Okay, so that's the setup for what we're talking about. Here's where it is right now, and this is where the leftists start to decry the fact that it's not working, right? And they're starting to search around because they don't have anyone to blame. They got everything that they wanted, but it's not working in California. Okay. Today, the state is struggling to recover thousands of guns from people who have been ordered to surrender them. At the start of the year, the list compiled by the State Department of Justice had swelled to 24,000 individuals, the most ever. The pandemic only worsened the mounting backlog of cases when some state Justice Department agents were pulled from field enforcement. And this is actually from Giffords Law Center to prevent gun violence. So this is Gun Control Central. Quote, "We are lucky to have a system that tells us this information," said Julia Weber, a former supervising attorney for the state's courts administration who now works on gun policy issues for the Giffords Law Center to prevent gun violence. But it's disheartening. It's a failure of the promise of the system. And that's the key. That's the kernel right there. They will promise up and down that bad things will never happen, and this is the way, and it'll prevent all issues, and this is the way for gun safety. Common sense gun reform. But even they're saying the promises are falling short, and we're going to keep on going because there's even more here. We've made a decision as a society that there are people who, for a constellation of reasons, should not be allowed to have firearms. Are we going to enforce that social decision or not? Asked Garen Wintemute, director of the Violence Prevention Research Program at UC Davis. UC Davis. Whoa, left. Okay. The reason that I'm bringing you these two quotes, and this is a very long article, so make sure you read it down in that description box right after you leave a comment. This is incredibly important because now you've got two of the main gun control advocacy groups in California saying it's not working. Why? What's the point? I thought we decided to do this, but it's not working. In principle, their theories and ideas are breaking down, and that's important. In fact, take a look here at the representation of the data in a graphical manner, right? And this is interesting. So as you can see in 2008, it's going up and up and up and up and up, and it's peaking in 2021. Now, what this graph represents is the armed and prohibited list through the years. Okay, so these are the amount of people who have guns, who the courts have deemed they shouldn't have guns, and have not seized them. Okay, that's what we're looking at right now. And the interesting thing here, in 2016, that's when the gun violence restraining orders went into effect. They were passed into law. Interesting that they started peaking in 2016 and then kept on going year over year because more and more people were added to the list. Now, the lefties here are decrying the fact that all these people are on this list, but nothing's happening. It's because the systems don't work, and they're never going to work because it's a government centralized system. Just like healthcare, just like anything else where big government's involved, it's going to not work because governments are the least efficient, most destructive forces on the planet. We all know that, but that's what they're starting to run into. And here is what the conservative or 2A advocates are doing. This article from today, gun rights groups aims to give firearm lessons to 4,000 women in Detroit. This is not about who can do the best program to control guns or who cannot do the best program to control guns. What this is about is empowerment or restriction. And that's why this is so important. That's why we fight on this. Anywhere that you look on the planet, gun laws or gun control laws don't work as prescribed. You could look at the terrible tragedy in the UK that just occurred. Licensee, completely okay, given back the firearm by the state. Look what happened. You've got California, 24,000 people are on their prohibited and armed list, but they still have their firearms. It's nothing is working as it's been prescribed. Versus empowerment, the American way, and embracing our birthright as Americans of the Second Amendment. By empowering the people and having an armed, polite, and trained populace, you can have multiple ways to defend against terrible situations that are occurring. That's the whole point. It's empowerment versus restrictions. You can't have this, you cannot have this, you cannot be trusted versus empowerment, which is very interesting because I thought those roles were reversed. The media told me so. But we all know that's not how it rolls, is it? Let me know what you guys think of this content in the field below. Let me know on that audio, and I look forward to hearing from you. And until tomorrow, I'm Braden. See you later.